Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Scarlet Report. I want to apologize for taking this long to post another video, but life gets in the way. I had to take some wedding pictures with my other half, priorities, happy wife, happy life. But in all seriousness, the main reason why this video took longer is because I wanted to give you something of substance, something for you guys to sink your teeth in. So as I was watching Manchester United's horrendous, humiliating defeat against Spurs, Bruno Fernandes's red card was an epiphany, a source of inspiration to me, because it reminded me of a game that I watched not so long ago from the French League, a clash between Olympique Lyon and Olympique Marseille, who now are managed by Roberto De Zerbi, formerly of Brighton, and who have Mason Greenwood leading their attack. And the reason why that game reminded me of that red card is because Olympique Marseille were down to 10 men within 5 minutes, and yet they were still able to win the game 3-2 at Lyon. And all due to a plethora of tactical changes, tweaks, and adjustments that Roberto De Zerbi made throughout the game to allow his team to win the game. So today's video will be a tactical expose, a frame-by-frame comparison where we look at the tactical tweaks that De Zerbi did against Lyon and those that Erik Ten Hag did against Spurs to try to better understand how a tactician can change the outcome of a football game. So without any further ado, let's analyze. Alright, so let's start this tactical analysis by first looking at De Zerbi's original system at Olympique Marseille. This is going to serve as, an anchor point against which we can compare and contrast all of the tactical tweaks and adjustments that he's going to do throughout the game. And as you can see, it's a system that is quite similar to the one he used at Brighton in the Premier League, in that it's a 4-3-3/4-2-3-1 kind of formation. But it's quite fluid, as you can see here, at Olympique Marseille, because he's got Greenwood on the right-hand side, who likes to cut inside on his left foot. He uses Murillo as a more of an attacking fullback, while at Brighton it was the opposite. It was a mirrored system where he would have Estupinian playing the Murillo role with Mitoma, cutting inside and playing the Mason Greenwood role. But in essence, it is actually the same system, okay? And now I want to just pull your attention towards the following players. Of course, Balerdi right here, the right-sided center-back, who's going to get a red card in the 5th minute, okay? And Amin Harit, the Moroccan attacking midfielder, who's going to get sacrificed, okay? So now, as you can see, De Zerbi starts with a back four, but he's going to make an adjustment to that, in that now, Marseille are moving more towards a back five. In fact, Rongier right here, who came in as an Amin Harit substitute, so that they switched now to a back five with Murillo, who used to be the right back, now slotting in as a right-sided center back, and then Enrique, who was the left winger, slotting in as a left back. So basically here what De Zerbi is doing, and this system is actually quite interesting, because now he's moved into a flat five, which is a very flat system, and I hate flat lines. But right in front of them, they have quite a narrow diamond. And this is very good, okay? Especially when you combine the fact that this defensive line is actually quite high. Look how high they are. They're actually within the 4th stripe from the 18-yard box. So that's actually quite high. And as you can see, this kind of restricts the space that Olympique Lyonnais can exploit. And also by having a diamond right here, first of all, they are clogging in the central areas, which have been identified by De Zerbi as the most dangerous areas, the dangerous areas that you need to protect no matter what. But also playing in a diamond, zigzag, triangular position right here, like this, means that even when you win the ball, then ball retention becomes much easier because you do have a lot of passing lanes. As these players start moving forward into positions, these players are already in a good situation where they can keep possession and then just spread the ball wide and retain possession. Or also it provides them with a lot of vertical options so that they can counterattack with pace. So very good system. But of course, Olympique Lyonnais are still a dangerous side. Here, Nemanja Matic, if you remember him, going for a long ball. And of course, Rongier here, who was the substitute, he's actually a defensive midfielder, so he does have a lot of defensive instincts. He's able to save them. However, now you might think, okay, so it's a dangerous system to play. But that was the only dangerous opportunity that Olympique Lyonnais had when it comes to playing balls in behind the opposition defense. In fact, here we can see again, very high defensive line again within the 4th stripe from the 18-yard box. As you can see, there are not many spaces through the middle, so the Olympique Lyonnais players have to go wide in order to find space. And more often than not, they are in situations like these, again, when they go with speculative long balls that don't really lead to much. And Marseille were actually quite secure in their position, even though they were one man down. Now let's compare this to Manchester United and against Spurs. So what Erik Ten Hag did, of course, after we lost Bruno Fernandes, if you remember in the beginning of the game, we were actually playing a 4-4-2 with Xerxes and Bruno Fernandes leading the press. But of course, when Bruno Fernandes left, all we did, the only adjustment was actually to just switch from a 4-4-2 to a 4-4-1 with two flat banks of 4. This is not really an ideal system. And the reason why is very simple. So here, first of all, we can see that the Manchester United defense is actually much lower. They should be here, actually where our midfield is. That's how high De Zerbi's defensive line is, because you have to kind of squeeze that space that the opposition can exploit. But the other problem with this is, of course, because the lines are very flat, what it means is that even if we win the ball and we try to counterattack, we don't actually have much options because there is not many free men that we can actually find, and there isn't a lot of verticality or triangles. This is why it's very hard for Manchester United every time we win the ball back. We just end up giving away the possession of the ball quite easily because we don't have those triangles. And here, as you can see here, Lisandro Martinez, as the ball is going wide, he's actually very eager to actually go deeper, which in turn just pushes our defensive line even deeper and gives even more time on the ball to Spurs. So again, not the right choice by Erik Ten Hag. Now we're going to look at the second aspects, which is how do you press when you are one man down? Now the problem with pressing with one man down is that you are one man down. That means the opposition are always going to be able to get one extra man in dangerous positions, therefore nullifying the pressing that you have. Now look at De Zerbi's system. So the first thing is that they don't care about the wide areas. Like look at this area, they are not occupying it at all. By this time, this was in the second half, they made a few tweaks. Rongier, who was the right wing back, now is moving to his more natural central midfield position. And then Paul Lirola is brought in, who is actually more of a full back, wing back, and right winger type of player into this area. And this is very important because look what's happening now. Even though this area is not marked, Marseille are always keeping an eye on it. And look, as the ball now comes in, what we're going to see is that even though Lirola can actually go towards Abner Vinicius over here, the Lyon left back, there's a lot of redundancy in the system that De Zerbi has because it's a back five. With this player, there is this player. And with Lacazette over here, there is Kondogbia, the center back over here, who can take him. A lot of redundancies. Equally, Rongier right here could just drop a little deeper to provide an extra man. So they are quite secure, even if Lirola goes aggressively on the opposition left back. And that's exactly what's going to happen. So they are waiting for the trigger, which here, of course, Lirola gets. He goes aggressively towards Vinicius. Just notice how aggressive he is. Two Lyon players here, Lacazette, the captain, is also pointing at Abner Vinicius to actually go back towards Verretou over here. It's actually the wrong decision, but that's the only option they have. But then here Rongier is on his case because he knows that that's the only option they have. So now they are committed aggressively. But notice, what I like about this is that Lirola and Rongier are the only ones who are attacking, because literally Marseille were patient in waiting to press until the ball reached this area, because in this area they can maximize these two players that they have. That means they can press with aggression without really compromising their defensive shape. As you can see now, they still have 6 defensive players. In case this doesn't work out, it's fine, they're still secure. They have enough men behind the ball to defend themselves. But then what's going to happen, of course, they're going to be successful with this, in that Lirola here, great tackle, and Rongier is close by, basically checkmate, and now they're able to counterattack with pace. Okay, now let's compare this to Manchester United. Actually, the way Manchester United presses, especially last season, was something that I praised a few times because really I think we were good at, and it's one of the aspects where we have clearly improved under Erik Ten Hag compared to the other post Sir Alex Ferguson managers. But guys, this sequence right here really angered me. As you can see, this was 55th minute and we were already 2-0 down. And look at what we do. Guys, come on. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's take it one step at a time. First thing, Garnacho is really eager to go and press high. And okay, fine. On some level, I get it. He's trying to show his passion. He's trying to galvanize the team. I get it. But this is just foolish. Next, Mason Mount. What are you doing? I mean, our shape is completely compromised. And you're going to see why. Now here, what we have is these two players right here. Casemiro, obviously, man-marking Maddison, and Ugarte man-marking Kulusevski. But this is what I have to say, guys, okay? And this is where we have to be logical and rational. Let's stop thinking about football for a minute here. Okay, so obviously, Erik Ten Hag favors a man-marking system. Guys, it's a system that could work when you're playing 11 versus 11. But guys, it's man-marking. That means if you are one man down, it's gonna be ineffective. Completely ineffective. It didn't work in the first half when we had 11 men, 10 outfield players against 10 outfield players. If you remember that sequence that has led to Brennan Johnson hitting the post. That was us pressing in a 4-4-2 shape with Bruno Fernandes and Xerxes. And obviously, Mazraoui and De Ligt, they kind of got messed up on the right wing, and then it led to that shot on goal. That could have been a goal for Spurs. So it didn't really work. 11 versus 11. And then now, when we are one man down, we still insist on a man marking pattern. Why? It doesn't make sense. We are always going to be one man short. So now look at what happens. So obviously, Mason Mount and Garnacho are too committed over here. Maddison is much faster, much more agile than Casemiro. Casemiro's got no legs. He cannot catch him. So he just moves into this space. Now he can collect the ball. And then now, Ugarte is just going to do something. I was yelling at my screen. What are you doing? Why? So obviously this space has been vacated by Garnacho, who went too aggressive on the press. But this is not a threat. It doesn't matter. If the ball goes towards the wide area, why do we care? This is not a danger zone. This is the danger zone. As you can see here, Kulusevski is like, seriously, bro? Where are you going? And all this does that it opens up this passing lane for Romero, who can now find Kulusevski. Why? So obviously, as you can see here, we have 5 Manchester United players who are overcommitted. We are one man down. That means that beyond Kulusevski, there are 4 Manchester United defenders. Casemiro tries to make a last-ditch attempt. Can't. Here again, Lisandro Martinez, who is he marking? Same thing with De Ligt. You know, in my De Ligt video, I showed you how, even though De Ligt is a competent defender and is very good at ball progression, his positioning actually lets him down. And I showed you in that video examples against Hoffenheim and an example against Dortmund, okay? And a lot of people played it down. Guys, this is extremely poor positioning from De Ligt right here. Lisandro Martinez as well. Lisandro Martinez should be on Solanke right here, with De Ligt occupying that space, because now we end up with the free space right there between De Ligt and Mazraoui, with Werner, the one player you don't want making a run behind you. Kulusevski, Ugarte here completely loses his duel, and then of course Kulusevski can go with a pass into the space of Werner, and of course Onana makes a wonderful double save actually to prevent us from scoring a third goal. But that should have been 3-0 Tottenham. That was amateurish from Manchester United. Guys, why did Erik Ten Hag insist on playing a man-to-man marking system when you are one man down? And what really angers me about that is that unlike De Zerbi, Erik Ten Hag actually, because our red card came right before halftime, that means he had a whole 15 minutes with the players to kind of come up with a whole tactical system, while De Zerbi had to adapt within the 5th minute without having the ability, the opportunity to actually talk to his players in detail. And that's what angers me. Why didn't Erik Ten Hag adapt to the situation? So same thing here. Now another aspect of De Zerbi's game is this. Whenever they win the ball, they make the right decisions and the right choices. So here, for example, Enrique get the ball. Again, same thing. That diamond shape is going to be ever present in this video. They are always in a diamond shape in order for them to have passing options. Triangles provide the players with passing options right here. And so here what we can see is, of course, Greenwood making a very smart move into space. So this makes him an attractive target. As you can see, he's asking for the ball over there. But now, Marseille, and especially Lyon Brassier over here, will have to make a decision. But look at what Højbjerg does. A player who was not deemed good enough for Spurs, by the way. He moves in behind the Lyon player and behind Lyon Brassier. Basically, what he's doing is that he's providing the left-sided centre-back here with options. Either he can go long and take a risk with Mason Greenwood, or he can just play it safe. And what Brassier is going to do here, which in my opinion is the right choice, is to actually just come back and then again, diamond shape, okay? Oops. 1, 2, they're able to keep the ball. And as you can see here, Marseille has 3 players in the open space where they can just keep the ball. And this is extremely important because in that Brassier situation with left-sided centre-back, if we had a player, let's say Bruno Fernandes, who is probably the one who is always guilty among the current Manchester United players of playing, you know, a high-risk, high-reward type of setup, he would have played that ball towards Greenwood and we would have lost the ball. But here, De Zerbi's team, they're much more intelligent with what we do with the ball. But don't be mistaken. This has to do with the manager. It's the manager who actually tells the players what is it that we prioritize. Do we prioritize taking risk or do we prioritize keeping the ball? And in this case, Olympique Marseille, even though they were one man down, because of this little philosophy, because of this tactical principle, they were actually able to control the ball for large swaths of the game time. For example, here, I think it took Lyon about 1.5 minutes before they could touch the ball again. And this just makes the Marseille players just feel that they are part of the game. They don't feel at a disadvantage at all, and they grow in confidence. In fact, they grew in confidence throughout the game. Let's compare this to Manchester United. So again, the keen-eyed among you will remember the timestamp. Actually, we can't see the timestamp, but it's 1-0. This was actually the sequence that has led to Tottenham's second goal right after halftime. Look at what we do now. So obviously, Dalot and Ugarte are making a run into this space. But as you can see, Rashford and Mason Mount over there are already going into forward positions. So we are already in a very, very dangerous situation here that makes us quite vulnerable to counterattacks. And yet no Manchester United players are, aware of this threat, okay? So what happens now, the ball comes back towards Lisandro Martinez, who has been really poor this season. I'm sorry, guys, but that's the truth. Defensively, ball playing wise, and just decision making wise. Here, had this been a De Zerbi team, what he would have done is just play it to Casemiro or play it to De Ligt or even back to Onana, because it's 1-0, okay? It's still game on. As you can see, 46th minute, we still have a half time to go. We still have another half of football to go, so there is no need to take risks. But this is what Lisandro Martinez does. He goes with this ball. Why? And as you can see here, both Ugarte and Dalot, two defensive players that we need for protection, are moving forward into this area. This area is completely empty. And guess what? Look at the timestamp over here. This is what directly has led to Spurs scoring their second goal, which was effectively game over for Manchester United at that time. Another tweak that De Zerbi did is this. So basically, because he was one man down, so De Zerbi, who we know loves to play from the back, okay? We've seen it against Brighton. We've seen it, with Brighton in the Premier League. It doesn't matter whether he's playing Manchester City, Arsenal, Sheffield United, Manchester United, or Liverpool. He always wants his team to play from the back. With 11 men, it's possible. I mean, we've seen that. Two center-backs, two defensive midfielders ahead of them. The center-backs, Lewis Dunk and Van Eck, they always try to keep the ball, attract opposition players so that they free up spaces, and then they play little cutesy passes, and then they cut through you like a hot knife through butter. But here he knows, he's smart, he's a wise fox. He knows that when you have one man down, that's asking for trouble. And so instead, he instructs his team to just take long kicks. In fact, from the 5th minute on, all of Marseille's goal kicks were all long kicks, but they were not like Stoke City, Burnley, Brentford style goal kicks where you just go blind towards a tall target man, because Marseille don't have a tall target man. No, there are still micro principles involved to make these goal kicks as effective as possible. First principle, high defensive line. Look how high that line is, literally like at the midway line, okay? Halfway line. Also, Henrique, who is the left back in this setup, is pushing really high up, dragging some players with him. Then we have, that diamond, ever-present diamond. And in this case, this diamond is actually extremely useful for Marseille because it allows them to have like a wolf pack system where they can counter-press immediately. And also they are playing it wide towards the goal line, and this is something you cannot ignore. Why? Because especially when you are one man down, the goal line literally acts as an extra man playing for your team. Because if the ball goes through the middle, the opposition team have literally 360 degrees of options. They can go right, forward, left, and back. But if you play the ball into these areas, they are limited by the touchline. That's extremely smart, and that's an extremely underrated move by De Zerbi right there. So then what happens now is that they want to play for the second balls. And that's exactly what's going to happen. Look how many Marseille players are around the ball as it falls into that area. They can control the ball. And then now again, same thing, diamonds. Now, while it was not successful in helping them keep possession, it was actually extremely potent in helping them win it back. Because they have a lot of players around the Lyon goal carriers. And of course, Lyon as a team are guilty of always trying to play back from the back. Maybe here they should have just cleared it to the wide areas. But anyway, it doesn't matter. The Marseille players are there. Now you find yourself in a situation, a very dangerous situation, with Mason Greenwood, out of all players, running at you. And then Eliwai, of course, a very fast and technical forward, going with this chance. That could have been a goal. So from a goal kick by employing those little principles like a high defensive line, playing a goal kick into the touch line, okay? Playing a diamond that is very narrow so you can counter press. These little micro principles within a bigger principle, which is playing long goal kicks, mean that a De Zerbi team can be actually quite effective and quite potent with something as mundane as goal kicks. Let's compare this to Erik Ten Hag's goal kicks. So here as we have Onana getting ready to take a long kick, you can see there is a problem. First of all, we don't even have a defensive line. And also, look how many players, actually Diogo Dalot, who is not in the frame, is also in our own half. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 Manchester United outfield players in our own half. So that leaves 3 in Spurs' half. So who do you think this goal kick is for? Who is this for? So now as Onana is going long, of course it's going to go towards Marcus Rashford. Again, why Marcus Rashford? If the intent from Erik Ten Hag was to play long balls towards a target man, why not Xerxes? Why not keep Xerxes and include Højlund as well? I don't see any consistency here. If you want to play for the second balls, why aren't the Manchester United players clogging this area, this zone right here? Why is Bentancur the only player? Look how far Mount and Garnacho are from this zone right here, which is the crucial zone. Ugarte and Casemiro were too deep in. So here what we see is most of the team thinking that, okay, we are going to play from the back. But no, Onana goes long. So what happened here? Is it a case of Erik Ten Hag not telling the players clearly what is expected of them? Are we going to play it? Sorry. Are we going to play it long? Or are we going to play it short and build up from the back? And if we do so, then how do we do it? How do we make sure that it is an effective strategy? This is not an effective strategy at all. The only one who gets the ball is, of course, Bentancur. And like I said, he's right in the middle of the park, so he can go left, right, behind, or forward. He's got plenty of time on the ball. And now, of course, you know, as the final culmination is, of course, this beautiful goal that just shows us what De Zerbi is all about. The De Zerbi identity. So now as you can see again, that back 5 has now moved to become more of a back 3 with 2 flying wing backs, okay? With Lirola and Ulysses Davis, who was also a replacement, you know, a substitute at left back. And again, that diamond possession is still ever present in this De Zerbi system. It's like a continuous theme throughout the game. Basically clogging the middle of the park because that's where the danger is. And notice how, you know, it's the 80th minute and they're still 1-1. And Olympique Marseille were actually in control in this game. And like I said, they ended up winning 3-2. And here is how they scored the second goal. So obviously here Kondogbia wants to pass to Rongier over here, but obviously Rongier is marked by another player like Maxence Cacré. But the thing that De Zerbi did with Brighton and testament to how effective this is, Brighton still use it to this day, is basically their center backs, they just hold on to the ball for as long as they can to draw attention towards them, freeing up space for the others. Cacré, who is an eager presser right here, you know, that wasn't the right choice. So now Rongier, as he turns around, Lirola starts making a run into space. Beautiful pass to find him. And now Ulysses Davis, on the other hand, also the left back, making a good move. And then as the ball comes towards him, thunderous finish to end a glorious tactical performance from Roberto De Zerbi. Alright, so what am I trying to say with this video? Am I saying, okay, we need to fire Erik Ten Hag and hire De Zerbi? No, of course not. In fact, at this point, and honestly speaking, I can't say for sure whether I'm Erik Ten Hag out yet, okay? But it's my job as an analyst to just show you the problems that Manchester United is facing, and of course, the manager is not immune from criticism. Okay, if we criticize the players, if we criticize the Glazers, we can also criticize the manager because he has also an impact and a role to play in the outcome of a game. But I'm showing you this video, and the reason why I'm using De Zerbi is to show you a contrast of how a manager can actually affect the outcome of a game. And I'm asking this question, which is, when was the last time that you saw Erik Ten Hag make adjustments to his system mid-game to actually enable us to win the game? And it doesn't happen here. I'm not talking about changes in personnel. I'm not talking about, he had Rashford and Rashford did not perform, so he introduced Garnacho and Garnacho scored the goal. No, I'm not talking about McTominay as well. Okay, that was a tweak that was kind of obvious, but it was not also applicable in every single game. But look at all the tweaks that De Zerbi did in one single 90-minute game. And all of them, you can actually follow his logic. For example, with the goal kicks one, we are one man down, we cannot build from the back. We have to go long. But if we go long, we cannot sacrifice our principles of playing incisive vertical football. Therefore, high defensive line, squeeze the space, play to the sides where the touchline can act as an extra man and restrict the options that Olympique Lyonnais has. We play with a narrow diamond so we can counter-press and play with verticality. And that's why they were able to not only keep Lyon at bay, but also create chances from goal kicks. And that's just an example of one adjustment. But you can see within that adjustment, it's like a Russian doll kind of situation in which you have long goal kicks, but then inside of it, smaller micro adjustments that are made. And all of them are logical. All of them are rational, and all of them work in synergy. They complement one another and lead to a much better outcome for Olympique Marseille down the road. When was the last time that Erik Ten Hag has done this? And I'm not saying this to say, okay, well, fire Erik Ten Hag tomorrow, but I'm just saying, I want to see Erik Ten Hag, the problem solver on the dugout. Watch the game, analyze it, read it, and come up with solutions. Give your players a fighting chance. But what we've seen in the game against Spurs and against Liverpool and against 20 and against Crystal Palace is that tactically, Erik Ten Hag right now is lacking, especially in the game against Spurs and Liverpool. That was kamikaze football. Why are we pressing this way? Can't we press a different way? Can't he adapt the system to the players that he has? If you're going to play a player like Casemiro, whose legs are gone, if you're going to play a player like Ugarte, who based on the game against Spurs is not really the most intelligent player out there, then shouldn't you play a different system where their weaknesses are not highlighted, are not blatantly obvious the way they were against Spurs? When was the last time you saw that? And in the tactical analysis video that I've made against Crystal Palace, I showed you how Glasner made changes in at halftime to give his side a fighting chance. We should have won the game in that first half. We didn't. They came back in the game because of the changes that he's made. And Erik Ten Hag did not make any adjustments. He did not adapt at all. Against 20, what adjustments did he do? So that we can steamroll a much weaker team at home. Nothing was done. And again, same thing against Spurs. And that's what I want to see. I want to see Erik Ten Hag, the problem solver. Okay? So is this too much to ask? So guys, I hope that you've enjoyed this tactical analysis video. If you did, guys, the best way you can support this channel is by leaving a like. Until next time, cheers.